This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello, welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Once again, this episode is brought to you by AdamandEve.com. If you go to AdamandEve.com and type in the promo code SPORT, you'll get 50% off just about any item in the store. I'm your host, Jesse Tapia, and for today's show, we're going to talk some NBA in the first segment. Then after that, we'll do some NFL predictions for Week 10, and then we'll go over the Thursday night game. I'll preview that. Talk about Ezekiel Elliot because his suspension is actually back into place now. I mean, with Ezekiel Elliot, to give a little something about that right now, it's just been a up and down type of situation for him and for fantasy owners, I guess, who have him. It's just been one of the, like I said, I've said it before, it's like one of those Tom Brady type of things. But like I said, we'll talk more about that in the third segment. And we'll also talk about the New York Giants and Ben McAdoo. And then to round out the show, we'll pretty much talk about anything going on in sports, injuries in the NBA. I'll talk a little bit about Alex Cora and the Red Sox and pretty much anything else that comes to mind for me in that segment. So, yeah, let's get started. So, for the NBA games going on, that went on Wednesday. Indiana went into Detroit. Detroit won that one 114-97. Indiana is looking like they're starting to cool off a little bit more. Miles Turner's finally back, but he's on limited minutes right now since he's coming off a concussion. Yesterday he had 8 points. Yeah, I believe it was 8 points, 6 rebounds. He shot 4 of 8, but I think he only had 26 minutes in that game. So yeah, he only had 8.6 rebounds in that one. Thaddeus Young, that guy's been around for a long time. I can't even remember when he first started in the league, but yeah, that guy's just been out there for a while for the Pacers, or he's with the Pacers now. I think he was with the Nets last season or the year before that. I can't remember exactly, but he had 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Victor Oladipo had a so-so type of game. He went 8 of 21 and had 21 points. So, like I said, you're starting to see the Pacers starting to cool down a little bit more. They lost to the Pelicans actually the day before on Tuesday, and then lost to the Knicks on Sunday, and lost to the 76ers on Friday. So they're currently on a 4-game losing streak right now. They got the Bulls up next, then the Rockets, Grizzlies, Detroit, the Heat, and the Magic. And before I get into, actually, let me read off Detroit stats for that game, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Indiana. I always get them confused because I do the football podcast also, so I gotta do the Indianapolis Colts a lot. So yeah, but anyways, for Detroit in that game, Tobias Harris had 23 points and 8 rebounds. Reggie Jackson had a solid one. He had 18 points, and Andre Drummond, he's been having a really good season so far. Usually he's been described as a lazy player on defense and just doesn't give enough effort, but so far this season he's been looking like one of the best centers in the league. He had 14 points and 21 rebounds, and I think I saw a stat yesterday when I was scrolling through Twitter saying that Andre Drummond already has, as I can't remember exactly, at 24 he has as many 20 rebound games as Shaq. I can't remember exactly what the stat was. It was something like that, but it's interesting to see how he's been playing so far this season. But yeah, let's get back into Indiana. Indiana, they started off, what was it? I think they started off around 4-1. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, now they're 5-7 right now, and they're kind of trying to find themselves right now. They've been struggling pretty bad. Like I said, against the Sixers, they gave up 121 points. Against the Knicks, they gave up 108. Against the Pelicans, they gave up 117, and then against the Pistons, they gave up 114. So it seems to me that their problem has been obviously on the defensive end when you're giving up that many points. For a little comparison, I mean, Celtics, which are the best defensive team in the league right now, they're only giving up around 93. So you never really want to give up any more than 100. Otherwise, you're just going to be described as a bad defensive team, and that's what the Pacers are right now. They score a lot of points. Like I said, against the Sixers, they scored 110. And then they scored 101 against the Knicks, which is pretty good. 112 against the Pelicans, and against the Pistons, actually, when they had their lowest scoring output of the 4-game losing streak with 97. So in order because now the Pacers are 5-7, I was really excited about them, but now, I mean, with how they've been playing, they need to fix whatever it is on the defensive end. I know when they had Frank Vogel, defense wasn't really much of a problem because of how he's more of a defensive type of coach, and you see that how he's coaching the Magic right now, Vogel, and has them playing good defense out there too. So that's one thing that they're missing right now is just someone who can get them going on the defensive end and just pretty much draw up a good game plan for them. But yeah, like I said, they got the Bulls up next, and that's a winnable game right there because the Bulls are 2-7. Then I don't really like their chances the next 3 games and possibly even 5, actually, because they got the Rockets, and the Rockets are one of the best offensive scoring teams in the league with James Harden. Eric Gordon's been going off lately. He's averaging around 24 or 23 a game, I believe. Then you got the Grizzlies, who play good defense. So, I mean, the Grizzlies aren't going to score a lot of points, but they're going to hold you to a minimal amount of points. So I like the Grizzlies in that one too. And then they got to play the Pistons again in Indiana. And right now the Pistons are 8-3. They're playing really well. They got Avery Bradley, Reggie Jackson's playing well, Tobias Harris, and like I said, Andre Drummond's playing well also. So it's going to be a tough run for them. Then they got the Heat, who are 5-6, and the Heat can win if they're at their best. They can win any game. I mean, the Heat is pretty much. It depends. Like, you need at least about 3 guys on that team to play well. So that's going to be a tough one for the Pacers too. And then they got the Magic. Actually, now that I'm looking forward even more into their schedule, it's going to be tough for them because then they got the Magic after the Heat, the Raptors, then the Celtics, Magic again, then the Rockets, and then the Raptors again. So it's going to be really tough. Like, this is going to be a tough stretch for them. They need to figure it out sooner rather than later. Otherwise, that they're going to fall really far behind, and they're not going to be competing for any type of playoff spot. I mean, I know it's early, but yeah, they just need to pick it up. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the Pacers. Next game up, the Knicks went into Orlando. Orlando won that one 112-99. Kristaps Porzingis didn't play in that one. I believe he's out with, I can't remember the exact injury he has, but yeah, he missed that game with the injury. Might be back soon, but I'm not too sure. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 26 points, and Michael Beasley, it's a name drop right there. He was the one who came in for Porzingis. He only had 4 points, and the next highest score for the Knicks was Doug McDermott with 13 points. So just an all-around pretty bad game for the Knicks other than Tim Hardaway. Vucevic for the Magic, he had 24 points and 5 rebounds. Evan Fournier had 23 points. Aaron Gordon had 21 points. He shot 8 of 11 from the field and 4 of 6 from 3. So that's another guy right there who's been playing really well so far. I've been really high on him. And he's just been fun to watch so far this season. He's shooting the ball a lot better than he has before. I know before this season, his shooting was something that was really a question about his game. Like, we all knew he was really athletic, and yeah, we just knew like his athleticism was there. He's pretty much like a Jaylen Brown type of player, but bigger and stronger, I feel. So like with him developing a jump shot, I really like him going forward. And you know what, like I've said it before, he could win Most Improved Player. And you know what, the Magic are currently 7-4, so they currently have a good chance of making the playoffs, I think, with how they've been playing. I know that them and the Pacers have been teams that have kind of surprised people, but I think that the Magic, they're going to be able to sustain their success, and I don't think they're going to be a top 4 seed or anything like that, but I do expect them to be around the 6 or 8 range. And also, Elfrid Payton came back yesterday, played in his first game, I believe it was, and he had 11 points and 11 assists in 29 minutes, so it was a really good game for him. It's good for the Magic that they're getting Payton back, so we're going to see how they're going to be able to put it all together. But other than that, yeah, the Magic beat the Knicks 112-99. Miami went into Phoenix. Miami won that one 126-115. Goran Dragic had 29 points and 9 rebounds. Hassan Whiteside had a pick-me-up game after his terrible game against the Warriors. I believe he only had like maybe 6 points against the Warriors. I can't remember exactly, but he just had a terrible game. I think he sat the whole fourth quarter of that game too. So, yeah, it was a really big game for him against the Phoenix Suns. He had 23 points and 10 rebounds. Deion Waiters contributed. He had 16 points. Devin Booker had one of his best games of the season. He had 30 points on 6 assists. And Mike James had 18 points. And TJ Warren, I think I've said it before, but I got him on my fantasy basketball team, and that guy's been a huge pickup for me. He had 16 points and 6 rebounds. He's always going to be a guy. He's been kind of like I know it's Devin Booker's team, but like TJ Warren is like that consistent guy that you can always depend on when it comes to the Suns. I really like his game, and I really like how he plays. So, yeah, he's a fun guy to watch. And my favorite game of the night was the Lakers going into Boston. Boston won that one 107-96. Mark Ingram, or that's football, but Brandon Ingram, finished with 18 points and 7 rebounds. Julius Randle had 16 points and 12 rebounds. And before I get into anyone else in that game, Julius Randle was without a doubt the best player for the Lakers in that game. It's just going to be interesting to see because it doesn't seem like Luke Walton favors him all that much. He probably should have been starting. I know that Luke Walton brought in Andrew Bogut in the first quarter, and that was kind of a surprising move to me, is just because Andrew Bogut, his best years are way behind him. There's no doubt about that. If anything, he's more of just like a veteran presence on that team. So I was kind of surprised to see that he brought out Andrew Bogut instead of Julius Randle in that first quarter, and Boston jumped out to, I think it was like an 18-point lead at the end of the first, and the Lakers after that were pretty much playing catch up the entire game, but I'll talk more about that. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about Julius Randle, and don't be surprised this season if maybe he gets traded or just leaves after this season. I think he could be in a contract. This should be a contract year for him. So after this season, I'm almost certain that he's gonna be gone from the Lakers, and I wouldn't doubt it if they trade him at the trade deadline to at least get something for him. But yeah, he deserves to be somewhere where he's going to be starting. He's one of the better players on that team, and I know that the Lakers really favor Kuzma right now. But yeah, it's just kind of Julius Randle's gotten the short end of the stick. But other than that, yeah, let's get into more stats for that game. Jordan Clarkson had 18 points. Lonzo Ball he didn't have all that good of a shooting game, at least. He had 9 points, but he shot 4 of 15 from the field. He had 6 assists and 5 rebounds. So, I mean, those assist numbers and rebounds are always going to be high, but the only thing that's going to keep him down right now, as far as him being thought of as one of the best rookies in the league, because I know going into this season, there was so much hype around him. I mean, I think it was Magic Johnson or someone said that, they expect him to be the next Magic Johnson leading the team, and they're going to build it around him. But so far, he hasn't even been really a top 5 player on that team. I'd take Ingram over him, Randle, Clarkson, Kuzma, and then, yeah, you know what? I guess he is a top 5 player, but he's number 5 if he is on that team. It's just he's been kind of disappointing so far this season, and we probably should have seen this coming just based off of how he shoots the ball. I think today he came out and said, or actually yesterday after the game, he said that his shooting woes right now are sort of a mental thing. So, I've said on the last few podcasts before when I was talking about him that, yeah, he doesn't look aggressive out there and he's more just passive, and he just kind of looks scared going up against the top people in the NBA. And yesterday that showed. I mean, he went up for a layup against Marcus Smart and he went up really weak. Probably could have went up for a dunk at least. And when you went up for that weak layup, Marcus Smart just swatted it away. So yeah, Lonzo I feel like his whole thing right now is just confidence. I'm not sure if it has to do with LeVar Ball hyping him up so much, because we all know how LeVar Ball loves to talk, and he is entertaining at times, but also at other times you could tell that, maybe just stay in the background and just let the kid do his thing. But yeah, as of right now, Lonzo Ball he can't shoot the ball to save his life, and he really doesn't look confident out there at all. And then as far as the Celtics go, who would have thought Aaron Baines would have led the team in scoring? That game actually led everyone in scoring. He had 21 points and 8 rebounds, and he's one of my more favorite player on the Celtics. He just recently came in from Detroit after last season. This is his first season with Boston. He's just going to become that lovable guy in Boston where he's going to play hard and he's going to do his job, but you don't have to worry about him. Al Horford missed the game yesterday with a concussion, and Jason Tatum left the second quarter and the rest of the game. Didn't come back for the rest of the game with an ankle injury, and I'll talk a little bit more about him later on in the show. But yeah, Aaron Baines just pretty much he held it down for the Celtics. And it's cool to see for the Celtics too that they don't need Kyrie Irving to be that guy who drops 25 a game or 26 a game in order for them to win. Boston is they're playing like a team right now. You got guys like Aaron Baines, like I said, who scored 21 points. Kyrie Irving yesterday, he only had 19 points in the game. He had 6 rebounds and 5 assists also, but I don't think he hit a 3 all game. So yeah, it wasn't really all that good of a shooting game for him. And then Marcus Morris, I think it was his third game. It was his first home game with the Celtics, and he had 18 points. And yeah, the Celtics have just been playing really good team basketball. They're really good on defense as far as everything else goes. Daniel Theis, he's a rookie from Germany, and that guy is a beast on near the rim. There would be times where there was about 2 or 3 Laker players near him trying to get a rebound, and he comes down with it easy. So yeah, like I said, Aaron Baines led all scorers with 21 points, and Celtics won that one 107-96. Lakers made it close in the fourth, but they were pretty much playing catch-up the entire game. They don't think they had one lead the entire game, so it just wasn't much of a race for them. But, yeah, Celtics came out with that one. I think that's their 9th straight win or 10th straight. 10th straight. Yeah, they're now 10-2, I believe. And as for the last game, it was Minnesota. They went into Oakland to face off with the Warriors, and the Warriors won that one easily, 125-101. Timberwolves really only in this game for a lot of the first quarter, and then after that, Warriors just broke it open, and Timberwolves had no chance. Andrew Wiggins only had 17 points. Karl Anthony Towns had 16 points and 12 rebounds, but he didn't even really play much of the fourth quarter because the game was pretty much over by then. Jimmy Butler had a really bad game. He had 11 points on 5 of 12 shooting. And the Timberwolves, I know a lot of us were high on them, at least most people were, coming to the season. They're really high on them, really excited to see how they play with all the young guys, and now Jimmy Butler's there. But this team doesn't win unless Jimmy Butler has a great game, and that's going to be their downfall. I mean, maybe they could pick it up, and you could see Wiggins and Towns take over more, but if Jimmy Butler doesn't have a good game, then you're most likely going to see the Timberwolves lose. For the Warriors, Klay Thompson had 28 points. He shot 6 of 12 from 3. And it's just crazy now how him or Curry could just shoot 12 threes a game and hit at least 6 or 7 of them whenever they want. I remember that when Ray Allen was doing that for the Celtics, that was more of like, oh, wow, this is crazy. He hit 7 threes, but now it's just pretty much like a daily thing for the Warriors. Draymond Green had 7 points and 6 rebounds and 6 assists, so very Draymond Green game from him. Didn't score too many points, but he helped out on the boards and the assists. And then Stephen Curry had a solid game, 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. That brought the Warriors to 9-3, and they're the number 1 team in the West. So it's going to be fun to see how it all plays out. But yeah, those are all the games that happened Wednesday night. Later on in the show, I'll preview some of the games. Probably in the last segment, I'll talk about the games going on Thursday night. We got a lot of good ones going on today. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for today's segment, or for the first segment. Next up, we're going to talk. I'm going to give my predictions on the NFL games for Week 10. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Hey, are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Have you been fantasizing about surprising your lover with an adventurous new toy or adult movie? Well, AdamandEve.com has an offer you're not going to be able to resist. If you go to AdamandEve.com, and for a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item in the store. But that's not all. Oh no. When you select your one item at 50% off, you're also going to receive 3 free DVDs, just in case you need that little inspiration. Plus a free extra gift so sensual, I can't even mention it on this podcast. And to top it all off, they're even going to throw in free shipping on your entire order, and we all know how we love that free shipping. And no, they're not kidding about any of this. So check out AdamandEve.com today for the special offer. You'll get 50% off one item when you type in the promo code SPORT for the offer code upon checkout. When you do that, you'll get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and that free shipping. Again, use the offer code SPORT, that's SPORT, at AdamandEve.com. Again, that's SPORT, SPORT, at AdamandEve.com. All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. In the last segment, we recapped the NBA games from Wednesday night. A lot of fun ones out of that one. The Celtics beat the Lakers. The Warriors beat the Timberwolves. The Pacers lost to Detroit. And what other game was there? Oh, yeah, Miami beat Phoenix, and the Magic beat the Knicks. So, yeah, those were fun games to watch for yesterday. In this segment, I'm going to do a prediction for every game in Week 10 and give a little something about each game too, just so no one feels left out. So let's get it started. Seattle's playing Arizona Thursday night. I like Seattle in that one, but this is actually almost sort of like a trap game for me, I think, for Seattle. Seattle's obviously the favorite in this one, but without Adrian Peterson, he got 37 carries his last game, I believe it was. So, and if he gets that amount of carries, I mean, Arizona's always going to have a chance to win because that means Drew Stan's not going to have to do too much. And plus, this game is in Arizona, not Seattle, so it's going to be a lot easier for him to play in. And then you got guys like Larry Fitzgerald that he could trust whenever he needs to get the ball out, so he's going to be open. And Arizona's defense isn't as good as how it's been the last few years, but I don't know. I feel like this is a game. I'm picking Seattle, and we're going to talk more about it in the next segment. Actually, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. We'll talk more about it in the next segment, that game. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see. New Orleans is hitting into Buffalo. I like New Orleans in that one. Buffalo's been playing pretty well so far this season. They lost to the Jets in their last game. I think it was 34-21, I think it was. And I believe they're coming off of a bye too. So this is going to be a good test for Buffalo right here. They're 5-4. They really can't they can afford to lose, but for a team like them right now that's been playing so well, I mean, you really don't want to try and start falling off, because we all know how the Bills have been the last few seasons, and they currently got the longest playoff drought in the league. So excuse me, I had a cough right there. But yeah, Buffalo's currently got the longest playoff drought in the NFL right now. So, I mean, the fans you really don't want to, how do you say, like right now they're really up on their team and high on their team right now. But I mean, if Buffalo starts to lose like 2 in a row and then possibly loses again next week, I can't remember exactly who they're playing next week, but if they start dropping games, you're going to see that morale go down for Buffalo fans. And they're just going to get real disappointed, and it might be old Buffalo this season where they're playing good, but towards the end of the season, they just can't cash it out. New Orleans, I like them because Drew Brees has been playing really well so far. They're 6-2. Mark Ingram's been playing really well at the running back position as far as getting the ball and getting big yards. Alvin Kamara is one of my favorite players on that offense. He's a big playmaker threat out of the backfield. He can run the ball pretty well, but he's also a good receiving back out of the backfield too. So I think last game he had 1 rushing touchdown and 1 receiving touchdown. And on the last football podcast, you gave me talking about the touchdown against the Bucks where he caught a screen and he basically they couldn't tackle him to save their life at all. I know Tampa Bay doesn't have a good defense at all, but the way Alvin Kamara runs with the ball and cuts, and his speed is just something that's just fun to watch. Ted Ginn Jr. has been having a good season so far. And Michael Thomas, he hasn't had too many touchdowns this season. I think he's gone 4 games without a touchdown, but he's always a guy that's going to have around 7-8 receptions and at least 11 targets. So, I mean, he's going to be due for one. Who knows? Maybe he'll get that touchdown this week. But, yeah, I like New Orleans in that one. Green Bay's heading to Chicago. I like Chicago in that one. Again, probably not going to be picking Green Bay all too much until Brett Hundley shows or gives me a reason to pick them. I really like Mitchell Trubisky in this one. And Jordan Howard, I got him on my fantasy team, so I need him to have a big game. He's usually getting around 20 to 30 carries a game, so it's going to take a lot off of Trubisky's shoulders, and that's pretty much how they've been going about it so far this season. And I think the Bears coach this today, actually, which is Thursday, said that Trubisky is behind where he would have been if he would have started, and it kind of doesn't make sense to me. Well, it makes so much sense that it's kind of pointless to say, I guess. But yeah, obviously, if you would have started him, he probably would have been up to speed a lot more. But they didn't, and here they are now. But yeah, I like Chicago in this one. Again, just don't trust Green Bay right now just because of Brett Hundley. He didn't throw for any touchdowns or any interceptions last game, threw for 245 yards. But if I'm the Chicago defense, I'm blitzing him every time. He struggles against the pressure, and he has one of the lower completion percentage rates against the blitz. So yeah, if I'm Chicago, I'm just constantly sending the blitz against him. And another reason why I like Chicago is just because this game's at home. So yeah, I'm going to go with Chicago on that one. Cleveland's heading to Detroit. Don't expect any surprises here. Cleveland's going to go 0-9, I believe, after this game. I'm saying I believe because I'm not sure if it's 0-10 or 0-9 once they lose to Detroit on Sunday. I expect Matt Stafford to have another big game. Marvin Jones should have a good game. Golden Tate. I just don't like Cleveland at all this one. Deshaun Kaiser is going to be the quarterback, but I mean, he doesn't have no one to throw to yet. Corey Coleman, actually, he's back off the injury list. I think it's IR he was on, but yeah, he's back. He could play this Sunday, so maybe Kaiser will have another weapon to throw to, but even with him, I still like Detroit in this one big time. I think that it's going to be maybe around a 30-10 type of game, but we'll see. But yeah, I like Detroit in that one. Pittsburgh's heading into Indianapolis. I like Pittsburgh in that one. I expect Juju Smith-Schuster to have another big game. It could be close, but Pittsburgh's defense so far this season have been playing really well. Jacoby Brissett's also been playing really well, so I think it's going to be type of one or the other. It's going to be more of like a 24-17 type of game, I think, or even maybe 24-10. I'm not sure. Of course, I said I have Pittsburgh winning, so yeah, I like Le'Veon Bell in this game. Obviously, Antonio Brown's going to have a big game against the Colts secondary. They recently, or actually just today, Thursday, they released Vontae Davis, and we'll talk a lot more about that later on in the show, but yeah, as of right now, Indianapolis really hasn't shown me a reason as to why they can beat Pittsburgh. So I like Pittsburgh in that one. I think Pittsburgh, if they win this one, they'll move to 7-2, and they should be the number one team in the AFC right now after this week if they do win. So yeah, I like Pittsburgh in that one. Chargers are heading to Jacksonville to face off with the Jaguars. I like Jacksonville in that one. I'm probably not going to pick against Jacksonville too many times this season just because of how their defense has been playing so far. The defense is just it's the number one defense in the league. Fournette should play this game unless he's late to some type of team picture or meeting. Don't think he will. I think he got the message. So, yeah, I like Jacksonville in this one. The Chargers are a team that's trending down right now. They're in the last few years of Phillip Rivers' career. So, yeah, I really don't like the Chargers at all. I don't think Melvin Gordon's going to have that good of a game just because of this front seven for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Phillip Rivers too. I mean, Jaguars corners have been playing really well so far, so he's not going to have too much time throwing the ball. So, yeah, I like Jacksonville big time in that one. The New York Jets are heading into Tampa Bay. Again, Jameis Winston's going to be out for this one. He's going to be out for a few weeks, actually. I'm not too sure exactly how long. They're shutting him down because of his shoulder injury. And the Jets are just going to hurt that rebuild that they've been trying to do, I guess. They're 4-5 right now, and I really like them against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's got one of the worst defenses in the league as far at least secondaries. I'm not sure about the entire defense. Their linebackers usually produce pretty well, but yeah, their secondary has been really poor so far this season. So I expect Josh McCown, he's not going to have a big game, but maybe Robbie Anderson can go for around 80 yards and a touchdown. Josh McCown probably won't have no more than 220 yards, 240 yards. Probably throw for maybe a touchdown or two. I expect one of them to be to Robbie Anderson. Matt Forte, I think he's going to have another big game after the game against Buffalo. And, yeah, I just think the Jets' offense is going to have a good day. I don't expect much out of Tampa Bay's offense either because Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to be starting. I expect Doug Martin to get the ball a lot more than he did last week. But, like I said, the offense for Tampa Bay, it's going to be really bad this week, I think. So I got the Jets in that one. If they win that one, they'll move up to 5-5, I believe. So, yeah, like I said, that rebuild is just going to have to wait a year because the Jets are going to have a pick probably within or in the mid-first round, probably around the 12 to 15 range. So, yeah, I'm sure the front office isn't too happy about that, but the players should be. So, yeah, I got the Jets in that one. Cincinnati's heading to Tennessee. I got Tennessee in that one. Probably not going to pick Cincinnati for too many games going forward just because of how they've been playing. As far as Marvin Lewis goes, too, I think this might be his last year unless somehow he has something over that front office because of how they've been playing really poor so far this season. They don't look good. They're not competing really all too much. AJ Green's had a kind of a down year. Andy Dalton's not looking like the quarterback he has the last few years. Joe Mixon, he's starting to pick up his play, and the offensive line has just been playing really bad so far this season also. The defense has been okay so far this season, but I just think Tennessee all around is better than them. Marcus Mariota had a pretty good game against Baltimore last week. I think he threw for around 220 yards, had 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick, but they did end up winning that game 23-20. So, yeah, I like Tennessee in that one. I think DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry, they really haven't been having too many good games so far this season, and I don't think they will. I think one of them is going to end up with a touchdown, but I don't expect any of them to have more than maybe around 50 yards, and none of them are going to have too many carries. I don't think. They've been splitting time a lot. So, yeah, I like Tennessee in that one. Minnesota's heading into Washington. I'm going to go Washington in this one. Just Washington's coming off a big win against Seattle. Kirk Cousins has been playing well. Chris Thompson didn't have all that good of a game, but I expect him to pick it up this week. Washington's receivers haven't been all that good, but this one's more of like I'm going off of a hunch right here. I just think Washington's going to be able to pull it out. They're playing at home, and I know that Minnesota's getting Teddy Bridgewater back this Sunday, but I don't think he's going to be starting. I think they're going to throw Case Keenum out there. It's going to be a close one, I think, but yeah, I just like Washington in this one. Obviously, on paper, Minnesota's the better team, but like I said, it's just one of those games where, I got a hunch, so I'm going to go Washington in this one. I expect Jake McKinnon to have a solid game and Stephon Diggs too, but yeah, like I said, Washington, I got them winning in this one. The next game, it's going to be Houston. They're heading into LA to face off with the Rams. I got the Rams big time in this one. Jared Goff has been playing lights out so far this season. Todd Gurley's having a really good year after a bad one last season, and the defense has just been lights out too, so really don't like Houston's offense with Tom Savage out there. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be more of like a 30-10 type of game, somewhere around there, so hopefully Lamar Miller, though, on Houston plays pretty good. I got him on my fantasy team, and I need him to start. I need all my players to start playing good, actually, since we're hitting the end of the fantasy season. So, yeah, hopefully he plays good, but I got the Rams in that one. Dallas is heading into Atlanta. They're going to face off with the Falcons, and I'm not too sure right now. I'm going to make my pick as I talk about this game, because like I said earlier today, which is Thursday, Ezekiel Elliot, it was ruled against him, so he's going to have to serve that 6-game suspension. I don't think he's going to be able to appeal it anymore. So, yeah, I'm not too sure who I want. And I know, no Ezekiel Elliott, obviously pick Atlanta, but Atlanta's been a team who hasn't played that good so far this season, and they haven't really utilized the weapons that they have on offense. I mean, Devontae Freeman's only getting around 10 carries a game every game, and that's not nearly enough for a player with his ability. Julio Jones, he caught 6 receptions for 60. He caught 6 balls for 118 yards last week, which dropped a touchdown in the end zone, and that's what contributed to their loss. So, I mean, the wiser pick is Atlanta, and I mean, Dallas is still a pretty good team. They're going to throw Alfred Morris out there. He'll probably be the first stringer, and then they'll have Rod Smith as the second string. And Dak Prescott's still a quarterback who could get the job done, but since they're on the road and Atlanta's at home, I think I'm going to go Atlanta in this one. I think Julio Jones is going to have a touchdown or two. Matt Ryan's going to throw for over 300 yards, and don't expect Devontae Freeman to do much just based off of how they've been using him so far this season. So, I don't know. This one's a toss-up, but I'm going to go Atlanta since they're at home. And then it's probably going to be the worst game of the weekend. Worst game of Sunday, actually. It's going to be the New York Giants heading into San Francisco. San Francisco could pick up their first win, or they could lose and start off or keep going 0-9, I think it is. It's either 0-9 or 0-10. They're just like the Browns. I can't remember. All I know is that they have no wins so far this season. I'm going to go, I said I wouldn't do it, but I'm going to pick San Francisco again. I picked them last week against Arizona, and I feel like they're just due for one. The New York Giants haven't been playing well. They're kind of going through a funk. 2 anonymous players, and we'll talk more about it later on in the show, but actually in the next segment we should. 2 anonymous players on the Giants said Ben McAdoo has lost his team, so if there was ever a game that San Francisco was going to pull out, and I don't expect them to win another one if they do pull this one out, it's going to be this game. So I'm going to go San Francisco. Please don't let me down again. I picked you guys last week, and you let me down, so this is going to be the last time I pick you guys if you lose, but who knows, maybe I could just change my mind again. So yeah, I got San Francisco against the Giants. And then for the Sunday night game, New England's going to be heading into Denver. I got New England in that one big time. Actually, I don't know about big time. I think it might be a close one just because it's a primetime game, and for some reason, some teams just decide to show up on these primetime games. So I'm going to go New England still, though. Tom Brady's still the quarterback of the Patriots, so no reason to pick against him. Brock Osweiler is the quarterback of the Denver Broncos, so there's every reason to pick against them. C.J. Anderson is starting to lose touches to Devontae Booker and Jamal Charles. The defense hasn't been playing well the last few games, so there's really no reason to pick Denver in this one, so I got New England. And then for the Monday night game, it's going to be Miami versus Carolina. Miami lost their last game to Oakland 24-21, I believe, or 27-24, excuse me. And then Carolina beat the Falcons 20-17. I'm going to go Carolina in this one. Miami's currently 1-8 in their last 9 primetime games, so they haven't really looked all too good. Looks like they're starting to trend down, but Jay Cutler had a really good game Sunday against Oakland, and the only thing that scares me about Carolina right now is that Cam Newton's starting to run the ball a lot more, and he's a lot more dangerous when he takes off with the ball. So yeah, I got Carolina on that one. But it's going to be a fun Week 10, I believe. It's like I said, the next segment we're going to talk about more NFL. I'm going to preview the Seahawks and Arizona game, talk about Ezekiel Elliott, what that's going to do for the Cowboys, and then we'll talk about the New York Giants too. So, yeah, those are my picks for Week 10, and stay tuned for the next segment. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. If you missed that last segment or just skipped over or you just want a rerun of it because you got a bad memory, I previewed and gave my predictions for each Week 10 game. I said some nice things about your team, and if you're a Niners fan, Giants fan, Cincinnati fan, or Cleveland fan, I said some bad things, but you know what? I actually picked San Francisco, so yeah, that's how that went. And then as far as this segment's going, we're going to preview the Thursday night football game between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. We're going to talk about the Giants and Bob McAdoo, and then we'll talk about Ezekiel Elliott. Actually, probably talk about Ezekiel Elliott second in this segment, but because I feel like it's more important than the Giants right now since they're winning whatever it is that they are. But yeah, let's get started with this Thursday night game. I was talking a little bit about it in the last segment, starting off that segment, but for this one, guys, like I was saying earlier, I'm just not too sure on Seattle is the obvious pick, and I just might be overthinking this one, but I think that Adrian Peterson, he's going to have a big game. I think he's going to get the ball a lot like he did last game. And I think that he's just going to have a big game, and that's just going to open it up for Drew Stanmore. He's not going to have too much pressure on him, but I mean, going against the Legion of Boom is always tough. I can't remember if Earl Thomas is going to be playing in this one too. If he's not playing, then you know what? Arizona has even more of a chance to come out and steal this one away. This one's at home for them too, so it's just going to be interesting to see. I know that I shouldn't even be overthinking. It should be, you know what, Seattle. They came off a loss against Washington, so you know what, they're going to be coming back even hungrier. It's a divisional game, Thursday night. But you know what, actually, now I'm thinking about it too, I did a segment, I think it was the last sports podcast or the last football one. I can't remember exactly, but I was talking about how the last 3 road teams have lost on Thursday night, and 2 of them haven't played yet. I can't remember exactly who played last Thursday night. It was the Bills and the Jets. Bills got blown out in that one. They only lost by 2 scores, but that doesn't do enough to show what actually happened in that game. Dolphins were the road team in the game before that against Baltimore. They got blown out 40-0. And then in the game before that, that was the only close one for the road team in these last 3 that I'm covering. The Chiefs lost that one 31-30 against Oakland. So, I mean, my pick is going to be Seattle for this one, but I'm just not too I don't know what it is about the Cardinals that are making me overthink this. It might just be because Adrian Peterson is one of my favorite players in the league, and I know that if he gets the ball a lot, he's going to do well. And it's true, if he does get the ball a lot in this game, then it's going to open up things for Drew Stanmore because Seattle's going to be playing for the run. But, I mean, it's also true you could see Seattle stacking the box a lot more since they know that the only person that's going to be able to beat him is Adrian Peterson. And I'm sure Russell Wilson's going to have a big game against his defense. And I'm not sure. I'm going to go Seattle on this one. And the defense should play well if they do have a good plan for stopping Adrian Peterson. Because if you stop him, then the game's going to be a blowout. But who knows how this is going to play out. It's just one of those games where it's kind of... I don't know, dude. This game is weird for me. It's just, I don't know. But I'm going to go Seattle. Okay, Seattle's running backs. CJ Prosise is probably going to have a big game. Not even a big game. Seattle's running backs have been terrible so far this year. What am I saying? Eddie Lacy's been bad. Thomas Rawls is not the guy. I mean, Thomas Rawls had that one good season when Marshawn Lynch went down. I think he left. Can't remember exactly, but Marshawn Lynch didn't play much that season. He might have just not been on the team. Like I said, I can't remember exactly, but Thomas Rawls had a good season. After that, it's pretty much like for fantasy football, you've pretty much been waiting. You pick him up late in rounds or even off of waivers. You're like, is he finally going to have that good season? Oh, he's been injured. Maybe he comes back from his injury, plays well. No, not happening. Time to give up on Thomas Rawls. It's time to give up on Eddie Lacy. CJ Prosise, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Can't remember exactly, but not sure what type of game he's going to have. But if you have him on your fantasy team, possibly give him a start in your flex. Couldn't get the ball, could not. You can't really trust these Seattle running backs. They've turned into pretty much Patriots running backs to where you can't trust them at all. But yeah, like I said, just to get back on topic, I got Seattle on this one. It's going to be a close one, I think, so look out for that. Next up, I want to talk Ezekiel Elliott. The panel consisting of 3 judges ruled against Elliott, so he's going to go back and start serving the suspension. And I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to appeal it or anything like that. I'm not too good with his whole legal stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see. But the Dallas has Atlanta on Sunday. And that's another game. That's a toss-up right there for me. I picked Atlanta in the last segment if you want to go and listen to that about why I picked them. But as far as Dallas goes, I mean, Alfred Morris, he could do a good job. he's probably going to do a pretty good job. That offensive line is still one of the best in the league, probably the best in the league. I expect Dak Prescott to he's still going to have a big game. I'm not low on Dak Prescott like others are, and I don't understand why others really don't give him his credit when he deserves it. Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott's a big help on that offense, but Dak Prescott still does the job good. He actually does it really well, so I like Dak Prescott. Dez Bryant, he's probably going to have a big game. He's not going against like a top corner or anything like that. Atlanta does have some solid corners, but not like Josh Norman or Marcus Peters. So I expect Dez Bryant to have a pretty good game. Who else? Terrence Williams, he had a really good game. I think he caught 145. Yeah, he had 6 receptions. I think I can't remember exactly, but he had around 145 reception yards, I think. Somewhere around there. I don't think he's going to have that big of a game, but I expect Dak Prescott to find him a lot more. And then that Dallas defense actually surprised me against Kansas City last week. They stopped Kareem Hunt, and Tyreek Hill didn't do too much except for that one touchdown. But yeah, just to get back on topic, as far as Ezekiel Elliott goes, this is going to be tough for the Cowboys in this 6-game stretch. I think they're 4-4 right now, 5-4, 5-3. They're one of those. I think they're in the 6th spot for the wild card right now. So I think that for this 6-game stretch, they're just going to need to go at least 3-3. If they go 3-3, I think they'll be fine. They should have a good chance of making the playoffs still. And with Ezekiel Elliott back for those last couple of games, or last 4 games, can't remember exactly how many games that they're going to be. Let's see, it's already week 10. So, it's going to be a couple of games that he'll be back. Actually, 3, I think. So, yeah, Dallas needs to go 3-3 during the stretch at least. If they go 2-4, then they're in trouble. If they go 3-3, they probably won't be in that 6th spot still, but they still have a chance once they get Ezekiel Elliott. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I mean, looks like this is finally going to be the closure on this, at least for this whole situation of him serving his suspension this year. Looks like he's finally going to serve it, but him and the NFL currently have a bigger case. I think that has to do with how he wasn't charged or anything like that as in the domestic violence case. So I can't remember exactly what it is, and yet I'm not good with this whole legal stuff, so I'm just trying to talk off the top of my head right now, but yeah, it's just I think he has a bigger case to where the suspension is unfair or something like that. But yeah, that's the only case that's left that he's trying to settle with them. But that's not going to get handled till probably at the end of the season. So yeah, it looks like Ezekiel Elliott's finally going to serve that suspension. And the Cowboys need to go 3-3 during the stretch, or else they're going to be in trouble, I think. If they go 4-2, then you know what? I like their chances a lot better making the playoffs. 5-1, even better. 6-0. Cowboys could be Super Bowl contenders if they were somehow to go 6-0 during the 6-game stretch. I doubt it, but like you say, you never know in football. And then just to round off this segment, I want to talk about the New York Giants. 2 anonymous players, and I know how we all love anonymous players. Anonymous players are always out there year after year. They're always giving something out about their team. And these 2 anonymous players for the Giants said that, you know what, Ben McAdoo has lost the locker room. And it's not too surprising to me. The Giants they just don't look like a team that's interested right now. I know that they lost Brandon Marshall and Odell Beckham Jr. And Brandon Marshall's used to be one of my favorite players in the league, but now he's pretty much just an old man trying to finish out his career. Said he's coming back next year, but that's just a whole nother story that we'll talk about on a different day. But yeah, the Giants just really nothing has gone for them this season. And the 2 anonymous players who they spoke to was Josina Anderson of ESPN, and she's the one who actually broke the story, saying that Bob McAdoo has lost the locker room, according to those 2 players, and Landon Collins and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. I think Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie was one of the players too that McAdoo suspended this season earlier in the year. I think it was. The second one was Janoris Jenkins. Yeah, I drew a blank right there. But I mean, as far as like the Giants go, I mean, if there's reports coming out like this, the team's 1-10. I think right now, or no, it's barely week 10. They're 1-9 or 1-8. Yeah, they're 1-8, I think. But I mean, yeah, the team's going 1-8. They don't have too many good players out there, and you got stories like this coming out. It's not really too good for McAdoo's future, I don't think. We're gonna see where the front office stands on all of this. I mean, they could be, you know what, McAdoo's our guy going forward, so that's just how it's gonna stay. Or when the season's over and the Giants they're probably gonna finish out with 1 win, possibly 2. Again, in the last segment, I picked San Francisco over the Giants this week, so that actually took a lot out of me right there. But yeah, I mean, the Giants probably are going to finish with no more than 2 wins this season. So They were supposed to be a playoff team this season, actually compete for a Super Bowl, but it just hasn't worked out that way. Just everything has gone against them so far this season. Nothing literally has gone their way. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out once the season's over. If I'm the Giants, I'm probably going to get rid of McAdoo. I just think that the Giants need a fresh start. They're a team that's starting to, they just need to just not clean house, but probably get a new head coach, I feel. I'm on that side right now, and I feel like they just need a new guy just to get this team going for next season. But we'll see how that all plays out. If you missed the earlier parts or just didn't remember, I was talking about previewed the Seahawks and Arizona game. Again, Ezekiel Elliot. He looks like he's going to finally serve that 6-game suspension, and we're going to see what the Giants do this Sunday and how they are going forward and what McAdoo's future is going to be going forward after the season. So this was actually a pretty fun segment. I love talking the NFL. And next segment, it's going to round out the show. For the next segment, we're just going to pretty much talk about injuries going on in the NBA. I'm going to talk about Alex Cora and the Boston Red Sox a little bit, and then pretty much just talk about anything else that comes to mind. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. In that last segment, we talked about the Seattle Seahawks and Arizona Cardinals Thursday night football game. I picked Seattle on that one. Talked a little bit in depth about it. Went over the Ezekiel Elliott suspension. He looks like he's finally going to be serving it. It's going to be 6 games, and then talked a little about the Giants and that little turmoil that team's going through right now. Bob McAdoo, the 2 anonymous players came out and said that Bob McAdoo has lost the locker room. And then Landon Collins and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie came out and said that's not true. But I feel like you always got to go with the anonymous players in these situations because, actually, I don't know who you go with in these situations. I just know that the Giants are 1-8, 1-9 right now. It doesn't really matter. They're a bad football team, so nothing could be going good in that locker room. And you know what? It could be true that McAdoo just lost the locker room, but we'll see how it all plays out. Once the season's over, if he gets fired at the end of the season, you know what? Yeah, he probably did lose the locker room. That's what I'm going to take from that. So we'll just see how it all plays out for him, but it's not looking good right now. They lose to the 49ers, and good luck, Bob McAdoo. But yeah, other than that, that's all I got to say about that. Let's get into this next segment. And this one's going to be a fun one because usually for these last segments of the sports podcast, I just talk about whatever comes to mind as far as the world in sports. So let's just get it going. I want to talk about Alex Cora and the Boston Red Sox. He's going to be their new manager going forward. They just hired him, introduced him, I think it was last week. And Boston's not a tough place to manage. It's not a tough place to be a player, a coach, anything. Boston fans are crazy. They demand excellence and they expect that you bring titles. So it's really tough. It's almost like they're an entitled fan base. I'm not trying to say that in a bad way. I mean, it could mean a bad thing. And sometimes Boston fans do get on my nerves. But it's actually funny to say, though, because I'm a fan of a few Boston teams. But yeah, Boston fans, for the most part, they want wins, they want titles. It's a sports city and it's a championship city. So, but I want to talk about Alex Cora because in his press conference, you could see like he's confident in what he can do. He said that managing the Red Sox wasn't going to be a challenge, or at least he said something like that. So, that kind of confidence in a city like that is something you need. You can't really let the city of Boston take over you. You've seen it kind of with David Price. I know that the fans have gotten to him a little bit. He'll never say that they have, but you can tell that, you know what, they have gone into his head a little bit. And actually, the majority of Boston Red Sox fans, they're not too fond of David Price. If you check Twitter, I follow a few Boston writers and and just reading the comments, you'll see the fans on there a lot, and they just do not like David Price all too much. They're just not too fond of him. But I really do like this Alex Cora hire for the Red Sox. He's a guy familiar with the team. He played for them for a few years before he retired, I believe it was, and then I think he can't remember exactly what his position was with the Astros. It might have been the bench coach, can't remember exactly, but he just won the World Series with that team. So, I mean, this is his first managerial job. So, I mean, even with that experience going through a World Series season and winning it, that's going to be helpful for him getting into Boston. He knows what it takes, and he knows that in Boston, you got to be perfect pretty much, or else they're going to hate you. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see how it goes for them in Boston. The Yankees are going to have Boston right. I think right now I'm still going to actually the Yankees, even with all the young guys, they might be the best team in that division right now, and it pains me to say it, but it could be true. Aaron Judge had a really great season. You got Gary Sanchez, who he's not the best catcher defensively, but he could hit the baseball. And I think they're still looking for a coach. Can't remember exactly, but can't remember exactly if they picked one up. But yeah, as of right now, Alex Cora, I mean, the fans aren't going to be too happy if the Yankees win the division next year, and if they go farther once again in the playoffs. So they're going to have to figure it out. Sounds like the Red Sox are going to be big spenders too. I think it was Dave Dombrowski who recently said that he doesn't care if they're over the luxury tax. So I know a name that's been thrown around. I'm not sure how possible it is. I know that the Red Sox would have to give up probably one of their young outfielders in order to get him, but Giancarlo Stanton's name has been thrown around a lot. As far as Boston, I know that the Marlins aren't going to want to, especially with the new ownership, they're not going to want to probably keep Stanton around with that big contract. And I know Boston's a team that they don't care about the money. If they got it. So, I mean, they're willing to spend it. So if they were to get a guy like Stanton, that would be huge for that team. This season for the Red Sox was just one where they were missing that big bat. David Ortiz retired, and you could tell that he was just missed big time in that team. Not even like just what he meant to the city or anything like that, but just his bat. Like there was no hitter on the Red Sox. Like, oh wow, he's coming up. You know what? What are we gonna do? He's gonna hit a bomb or something like that. No, they didn't have that type of that intimidating hitter on that team, and Stan would fill that role big time, and he could DH if he wanted to. I'm sure. I think Hanley Ramirez was the DH for most of this season, but Hanley's just gonna have to give that position up, or maybe Stanton could play outfield since the Red Sox are probably going to have to trade one of those young outfielders in order to get him. But we'll see how that all goes. I'm really excited about the Red Sox this season. I know that, like I said earlier, they're going to be big spenders, so it's going to be interesting to see how this team ends up once the season starts. Now let's get into talk a little bit more NFL. Vontae Davis got cut after he chose to have season-ending surgery, and this situation's been a really weird one. I think against the game Houston, Vontae Davis was hurt because the team left him behind and didn't let him travel with the team for the game. And Chuck Pagano said that this was a non-football injury reason. And Colts, like I said, I was talking yesterday on the sports podcast. I was talking more about Jim Irsay and about what he said about Andrew Luck's shoulder, saying that it's a mental thing. And the Colts are just... Ever since Peyton Manning left, it pretty much has been a team that's been just as dysfunctional as the Browns, and they always keep themselves in headlines when they don't need to. Like, I just don't get it with the Colts. Chuck Pagano, I think he's overstayed his welcome there. I think he should be done after the season. There's really not a good coach. Chuck Pagano's not a good coach. He rode, I'm going to say it right now, I'm going to be real with you guys, okay? He rode Andrew Luck's shoulders the entire way to the AFC Championship. Andrew Luck is the reason why that team was relevant for those couple of years, and hopefully when he comes back, he'll play better too. But yeah, Chuck Pagano, I think they need a new coach. I know it's probably not right to talk about someone else's job and all that, but you know what? Chuck Pagano's not the guy for the team. Like I said, he's overstayed his welcome there. Time to start off new, but I mean, with how that front office has been running this team, you never know. They'll probably give him an extension for all I know, because it's the Colts, and Jim Irsay just loves to do stuff like that. But yeah, this whole Vontae Davis thing, now he's cut. He was a pretty solid cornerback for them for the last couple of seasons, and he said that his play so far this season his poor play so far this season has been due to that groin injury that he's had. I know earlier in the year he said he got an opinion on it from a doctor, and the doctor said to get surgery, and then he had a second opinion. The doctor said to let it heal, and he chose that, to let it heal. And he said he came back too early, he feels, and that's what's been hurting him and the team. But now that he chose season-ending surgery, the Colts cut him once again. Colts probably second most dysfunctional franchise in the league. Not too high on Chuck Pagano. Probably never will be again. Think he should be gone after the season. But like I said, we never know with that front office. Martellus Bennett was cut from the Packers. I think it had to do with not disclosing an injury to them. I can't remember exactly, but you know who picked him up off of waivers? The good old New England Patriots. Of course they did. Why wouldn't they pick up Martellus Bennett? Gosh, now you're going to see Martellus Bennett get healthy, and for these last few games in that playoff, and they're running the playoffs, you're going to see Martellus Bennett become the tight end. I was hoping it was going to be. I drafted him in my fantasy league this year, and like I said, I know players don't care about fantasy, and I'm fine with that, but he was just a huge disappointment for my team. I was expecting him to put up all kinds of points for me, but no. It's been a huge disappointment. But now with the Patriots, watch, he's just gonna finish out the season strong. He's gonna retire. He can win another Super Bowl and retire Super Bowl champion. It's just Martellus Bennett's got to be one of the happiest guys in the world right now. It sucks when you get cut, but then boom, guess who picks you up? The New England Patriots again. So we'll see once he gets healthy how he'll be for that team. But like I said, he's just a lucky guy. Now let's get into some basketball to finish off the show. Jason Tatum, he left the second quarter of the Lakers game Wednesday night with an ankle injury, and I didn't really see. I think it was just ankle soreness is what kept him out, and they did x-rays on his ankle, and there was no fracture or any tears or anything like that. I don't think I think that's what they said about it. But Tatum's out for a certain period of time. Boston's going to be hurting because Al Horford's currently in the concussion protocol, and if you remember last season, Al Horford had a concussion. He missed 8 games, and Al Horford's a big part of that team, and so is Jason Tatum, even though he's a rookie. You could tell once he left the game, the Lakers started coming back, and I mean, when they're already missing Gordon Hayward, and I know he played about 6 minutes, I think it was, so I mean, you can't really... I guess you can, because we all know what Gordon Hayward brings, and he would have brought a lot more to the Celtics team. I know that they're 10-2, but I mean, with Gordon Hayward, they would have been even better. And then with Al Horford out, he's been having an amazing season so far, and now he's going to be out for who knows how long with his concussion. And then now with Jason Tatum, this is really something they can't really afford. And I know it's early in the season. They've done well to start off 2-2, but when you're losing a guy like Jason Tatum for that team, you're just going to be missing scores. So Marcus Smart's going to have to step up in that role. He takes a lot of shots, but he misses a lot of shots too. So maybe he could become more efficient with that. But that's all I have to say about the Celtics and the Jason Tatum injury right there. Kevin Durant missed Wednesday's game. I think he was with an injury. I think he was, let me double check. But yeah, he missed Wednesday's game. I saw that he should be fine it was a thigh injury. He sat out Wednesday, and he expects to play Saturday. So voices sound a little bit weird, sorry. But yeah, he expects to play Saturday. And with the Warriors, expect to see this a lot more. Guys like Durant, Curry, Thompson, or even Draymond, if they're going to have like little minor injuries, expect them to sit out and come back the next game. There's really no reason to have them play all 82 games. I mean, just keep them healthy for the playoffs. We all know that if they have a healthy team in the playoffs, then they're going to win the finals. I mean, it sucks to say because... you want to see the league start open up a little bit more, but yeah, expect the Warriors to just sit their guys when they're not feeling too well. They got some nagging injuries, and yeah, there's really just no reason for the Warriors to go 100% during this regular season. There's literally no point. OKC can't compete with them. I know it's probably not a popular opinion, but it's true. They'll see it once the playoffs come. I expect the Warriors to sweep them if they play. Houston, they're not on the Warriors level, even with Chris Paul. They could probably pull out a game or two, but that's it. I don't think the Spurs are going to be getting back Kawhi until February, so they're just dealing with that. And Timberwolves aren't a team that's going to compete with them, and pretty much no one else. It's going to come down to, I guess, the East. I mean, but the Cavs aren't looking good at all. The Celtics are the best team right there, but the Celtics maybe can get a game or two if they were to meet each other in the finals, but as of right now, it's the Warriors league, and it's going to be next year also too. So yeah, there's just no point in the Warriors going 100% and they're in the regular season. Just save your guys for the playoffs and dominate. And Derrick Rose is also going to be out a few more games, it looks like, with his ankle injury. It's still nagging him, and they just need to wrap a huge Band-Aid around that guy just so he could play more. But yeah, Cavs are just gotten hit with injuries big time so far this season. Tristan Thompson's going to be out for most of November. Derrick Rose is a walking bag of glass. Isaiah Thomas, we're not sure when he's coming back. And LeBron, I think he said, let me double check it, but he said something about Isaiah Thomas, like not expecting, like they can't rely on him to be the savior. And it's true. Isaiah Thomas is a solid scorer, but we're not sure how his hip's going to be once he's coming back. And Cavs they're a bad team right now. I'm going to say it. The Cleveland Cavaliers are a bad team right now. They're 5-6. Injuries, I don't care. Injuries happen to everyone. They're playing like a bad team right now. LeBron is still the best player in the league, but everyone else just needs to step up their game and just pick it up, because if they keep playing like this, then you know what? They'll still make the playoffs, but they're not beating the Celtics, and I don't like their chances against the Wizards. So I know that the Cavs probably have this mentality, we're the Cavs, we got LeBron, we're the best team in the league, but they better cut that right now, because you're 5-6, and your starting point guard right now until Isaiah comes back is, like I said, a bag of glass. So you're never sure how many games he's going to be able to play. So I better figure something out, or they're going to be in trouble. But that's all I got to say about that. It's been a fun show today. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for today. Missed the first segment. We talked about the NBA games from Wednesday. Then after that, I gave my predictions for Week 10. Talked more about the NFL in the third. Talked about the Thursday night game between Seattle and Arizona. Talked a little bit about Ezekiel Elliott and Bob McAdoo for the Giants. And I'm sure you were listening to this segment, so you know. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. It's been a fun one. And it's the GSMC Sports Podcast. And we'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.